day three of the Gyan program. Yesterday's sessions give us a lot to reflect on. We explored food security challenges in Europe in the context of the prolonged Russian-Ukrainian conflict, and also looked ahead toward nutrition security 2030 and Viksit Bharat 2047. And of course, the day ended on a wonderful note with an engaging session where many interesting ideas and perspectives were shared by the participants. Today, we have another insightful lineup of lectures that continue to connect sustainability, innovation, and nutrition in very meaningful ways. We'll begin with our first lecture on food waste in food service, an overview through the perspective of sustainable dimensions. Then we'll move on to biofortification, a tool for improving food and nutritional security, followed by a fascinating session on jellyfish as food. To wrap up the day, we'll have a tutorial and classroom discussion on food security and innovations in achieving sustainable development goals, where everyone will once again get a chance to share ideas and thoughts. So, to begin today's journey, let's warmly welcome Dr. Antonio Rapso to deliver the first lecture of the day on food waste in food service and overview through the perspective of sustainable dimensions. Dr. Rapso, we are delighted to have you with us once again. The floor is yours.
Good morning, and I wish you a great third conference day. And we will have this first session, and we will talk about perhaps one of the greatest challenges we have nowadays as food scientists, health professionals, but most of all as citizens of the world. And this is the food waste. We should think that every day, every meal, we in all over the world are wasting food that could be used to feed up thousands and millions of people that are suffering from hunger, that are stunned. And if we should find an homeostasis between these, it would be great. And if we decrease this quantity of food that is wasted day to day, every meal, this would be wonderful. At least if we could decrease this quantity of food we waste in our day to day life, it would be wonderful. And of course, find strategies to the populations do the same. So, the title of our first session of today is Food Waste on Food Services, an overview through the perspective of sustainable dimensions. And when we talk about food waste, we should take into consideration two kinds of this waste that it can be considered. At one point of view, food loss, but also as surplus food. And food loss regarding the post-harvest losses, as the name mentioned, the loss of food, whether it is safe or not safe for human consumption, that is discarded by some defect or the unintentional food disposal that occurs before the meal's production. When we are talking about the surplus food, this is regarding the excess produced but not ingested by any human, even under correct conservation conditions. Okay? So, the Food and Agriculture Organization estimated the worldwide cost of food waste to be close to $2.6 trillion of losses per year. Considering the sustainability dimensions, about $700 billion in environmental costs, a trillion of the economic scope, and 900 billion in the social scope. 60% or more than 60% of food is discarded in consumption, and food services are responsible for more than 30% of these discarded. This data, I think, should all of us think on the topic and reflect about how is it possible when we have in this world millions of people dying every day, suffering of hunger and starvation. The impacts, the food waste generation and impacts. We have meat losses and waste worldwide around 5%. Make the transposition to monetary terms, this waste is over 20% equivalent to $122 US dollars per capita per year. Regarding fruits and vegetables, although slightly lower but no less worrisome, the figure reaches around $180 US dollars per capita per year. Cereals, the value is 78 US dollars per capita per year. Oh, the amount and costs of wasted food in the world today will be sufficient to feed up to 2 billion people. These numbers, I think, are very explainable how this could serve to feed up more than millions. We see billion people. If there were a correct distribution, what is produced, if we could reach that homeostasis, no individual worldwide would go hungry. So if this were distributed equally, we would have no people dying, no people suffering from hunger, from undernutrition, from stunts. Studies have been carried out in food services to quantify waste, and it is important to quantify precisely in the most exact way how food is wasted. And there are mainly four methods to do this. And one method is the in-person visual estimation, another one the digital photography, direct range, and of course you can combine these methods. Fruits and vegetables were the products that stood out in the studies due to enormous waste volume. The studies were characterized by their design being transversal or post-intervention, and another study considered the pre-consumer waste in Colorado schools in the United States and showed that the waste in this stage is very insignificant, very low. Most of the waste reason was spoilage, expiration, and or contamination of the foods. In a survey performed in different food services in north of Europe, Finland, such as daycare centers, schools, and company canteens, establishments recorded the amount of food discarded for the period of 2 weeks. The information was transferred to a research database with 51 restaurants participating in the study. So what we reached, what was revealed in the results of these studies. The results revealed an average of 17.5% of prepared foods directly thrown in the trash. So this is also a question, I think, of a way of thinking, of education, of mentality of people. So we are when we throw to the trash the food, we are not only throw the foods, we are throwing money. If this represents more for the people, when we are wasting food, when we are losing food, we are losing also our money, and we are losing the opportunity to feed up thousands, millions of people that have no chance, no opportunity to to buy that foods that are essential to their health, more than to their health, to their survival. Of this, 2%, 2.2% were discarded during preparation in the kitchen waste. Distribution leftover serving loss were about 11%, and about 4% of customers discarded after serving. The impacts of food waste in food service and this relation with sustainability. So we have the economic dimension regarding raw material, electricity, and gas consumption. In social dimension, the energy density, organic local food. Also regarding the environmental dimension, water footprint, cleaning material, and the amount of waste. So, and of course, we have there some variables that you can relate in the social dimension and also in the environmental dimension, like the food donation and the labor that is correlated with environmental and economic dimensions, and the organic and local food that we can include this in the social and economic dimension. Waste prevention and the possibilities to decrease the impact of this waste. So, an important and very relevant alternative to prevent food waste is the planning of our menus. From well executed planning, considering the target audience, quality of the raw material, operational capacity of team, and structure, among others, it is possible to increase the acceptance of meals and reduce waste. So, not only I think not only the quality, but also the quantity of food that will be served to the population. Another aspect is to use strategies such as improving dishes presentation, carrying out nutritional education work, and adjusting the portion sizes. This is very, very relevant. And this will bring consequences to the production that will be more efficient and profitable with acquisition of better quality raw materials and of course rational use of energy. It's also very, very important. What we can conclude from these aspects, and of course, it will be a pleasure to discuss with you and think together with you and reflect strategies of how we can, more than we can teach people or find some strategies to the population, but also for us in our circle of friends, family, in our houses to avoid this food waste. So, in conclusion, in the tertiary sector, specifically in the food services, combating waste actions are essential given the large number of meals prepared in the food services. And if we think a little in nowadays, at least in in a lot of countries, people are doing their meals not at home. People go to work early in the morning and arrive late in the afternoon or even in the evening. So people are making the most of their meals in these food services, and it is very important to find strategies to not waste food in this sector. Although there are several strategies to minimize this cost of food waste, there are numerous causes that influence this impact. The causes of wastage need to be identified within every single activity and process of the food service chain, identifying its critical points. Only identifying these critical points, we can act, we can change anything to make the impact of this food waste less relevant. And reducing food wastage, redistributing unsold or excess food, and recycling, treating food waste are important components of waste management strategies towards food service to reduce the economic, social, and environmental impact of food waste. For the measures taken to be effective, besides identifying all the food waste parameters, it is necessary to make strict controls to ensure sustainable production. I think this is obvious. Research to identify the influential aspects of the environment, society, and the economy around food waste is fundamental to enable controlling the impacts generated in the short and long term. The management of well-performed food services with proper planning, acquisition control in the acquisition of goods, receipt, and storage can significantly reduce waste and consequently with less impact on the three main pillars of sustainability. The research is crucial and is needed, of course, and a lot of research projects, research papers you can find about this topic, and it is very important to bring this to all the society and bring this uh, notions of concepts of food waste, and more than the concepts, the numbers are crucial to show to all of us, to all of the community, how we are losing a great opportunity to become this world a better place, to feed up all people that are in a very, very serious conditions, especially in nowadays that we are having a lot of conflicts worldwide, people that simply have no access to food. They can't assure their basic conditions for survival with access to innocuous food in a quantity, in the amount needed to survive, and some of us are wasting food in every meal. So this is an opportunity to reflect on this and work together to change all the things. So more research is needed to address procedures for monitoring food waste generation in each type of food service activity, and more than food service activity, also in all the environments, and find out methods for reducing it in any single situation. This is fundamental and crucial, not only as health professionals, as I said, not only as food scientists, but as citizens of the world. And now I would like to know what strategies you would like to, or if you have any strategy implementing in your houses or in your community, in your university, to avoid this food waste, or what you think about this, and how relevant can be our role in the society to explain the people, to find out with the people strategies to combat this very, very huge problem of nowadays society. This is, I think, when we have a course regarding food security, nutrition, and innovation. This is one of the challenges. This is one of the topics, food waste, because if we can do anything to reduce the amount, the quantity of food it is wasted in every day. So I think we are doing great, and we are contributing um, for a better world, generally speaking. So please let me know your thoughts, let me know your questions, and let's discuss a little on this relevant topic that I believe, of course, in future sessions we will also discuss, because this is also related when we speak. We address this topic, of course. It is impossible to separate it from the other topics of this course, sustainability, food security. So let me know your point of view of this topic. Who wants to be the first to participate?
Is there any?
And strategies. Yes, I want to know your strategies to decrease the food waste.
Sir, I have a question. Uh,
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sir, we see that in big hotels and restaurants, there is huge wastage of food. Then, how they track their food wastage? Like any digital app or digital tools are available to track food wastage.
Yes, that is one of the challenges to monitor, to evaluate, to assess the food waste and find strategies to reduce that waste. It will depend on where the food is wasted. So it will depend the point of the food chain that we have that waste, and then when we identify where we have that food waste, find strategies to avoid it or make some utilization of that waste for other kinds foods, for other kind of utilizations. Here, the important thing is that the food will not go to the trash and with any kind of utilization or reutilization. That is the most important thing. It's very important to control, to monitor, to track this food and see how can or what can we do to avoid to decrease it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, it can be your idea. Not it is not need to be a question. Okay, it can be a comment, your idea, or what you do. Please let me know. Share your experience. What do you do in your routine to not waste food?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Prince. Actually, people are focusing the food wastage. Generally, they count 3R. Okay, 3R concept, no? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. But can we add in the 4R or 5R concepts to minimize the food wastage? 3R is the common, no?
Yes, yes.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Okay, and we can add.
And you can explain, please, those three concepts.
I've just
When you we talk about them here in the presentation, reduce. You are talking about
yes.
the portions, right? To adapt the portions to the needs of the people. So if I don't give more than the people needs or more than the people will use, so we can have a good benefit from that, and food will not be waste. Reutilize is regarding just this we have ended to talk. So find some strategies that the food doesn't go directly to the trash. So it will depend on the point of the food chain, but find something how to utilize that food. So and recycle, of course, also important. But you are talking about two new concepts.
Yeah, yeah. We can add two more R in that. Three are already known. We can
Yes.
add one more R, just like recover.
Recover. Yes.
S-
How you recover?
Recover
Please
is just
explain me.
we can see we such like dog feed pedigree. Okay, this is the complete waste food, na.
I didn't understand. Sorry.
So recover means see dog feed is called pedigree. Some types of food is available for which is feed by dog. Okay, this feed is generally what is happening. This is the slaughterhouses meats or chicken. It is the convert into the form of just like a small ball pieces. No? So
Yes.
this is the also recover. No?
Yes, yes, it's also important. Yes, one thing that we must do, and also as researchers, as academics, is to find new strategies to use the food, to not waste it. Yes, that is also important.
In India, maybe south part is the one concept is roti bank.
Roti bag,
Yes, roti bank. Bank is a
bags.
bank.
Yes,
So if someone have a extra food, they can just store in that. A particular fridges are also there. They kept in there. With need for this, they can take over from this.
interesting, interesting. For example, in Portugal, we have some programs, and especially in this sector, in food services, that in the end of the day, in some cafes and restaurants, some food that was not sold in that day, and it is in good condition, it is safe food, but they don't want to sell in the day after. They sell in a very reduced price to people that can't have access to the food in its normal price, and sometimes they even offer that food to people that has no conditions to prepare their food, or even that hasn't a house to live. So there are these kind of problems. I think also important because Other times, this food probably went to trash, so it was waste food. And with these programs, we are using this food to feed up people with less conditions to get access to them. This I think this kind of initiatives of programs are important to avoid and to decrease this waste.
Okay.
Yes, but that idea of the bags are also very interesting. Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So like whenever like we human beings are impatient. So whenever we go to a restaurant, we demand them to give us food within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes. So rather than doing that, we can what to say like no, say everyone that be patient. At least whatever you're ordering, whatever quantity you need, like for a one person or for a two-person, you wait for half an hour or 1 hour. So he'll prepare only the food which you need. So there will be no wastage.
Yes,
Prepared food, huh?
yes, and I think one of the problems of, at least in Portugal, of the restaurants is that the most of these the restaurants serve the quantity, the amount of food much more that the needed, and in all meals, almost all meals, some food is discarded, is wasted because people will not eat everything. So the portion is not quite. But this is also a problem, not only a problem of the restaurant, because people, when go to a restaurant, I say from my perspective, I don't know how is it here, but when people go to the restaurant and pay for the meal, they don't want small quantity of food. So people prefer to have more than the needed. If will not eat, not a problem. But for example, if I go a restaurant and I ask, for example, a grilled piece of chicken with rice, if the restaurant will give me a very small amount, I don't like. I prefer that will serve a very huge amount, and if I don't eat, not a problem for me, from my perspective. This is a work we must have of education, and not only to or near the responsibles of the food service of the restaurants, but also all the consumers.
That's what, so we have to aware the people, like if you
Yes.
want one bowl of chicken, then order only one bowl. Because if you can eat two bowls, then you can order two bowls.
Yes, yes, that's the point. That's the point. And then the size of the ball it is also important because people are demanding or are expecting to be served huge quantities of food. And for example, in Portugal, some people say that restaurant is very good. The portions are very big, so you can go there and you have very big portions of food. But the reality is that portions, people will not eat everything. The portion go to the table, and maybe in some cases half of the portion go back to the kitchen and is discarded. So this is a question of mentality, of education, and not only a problem of the restaurant. Because if the restaurant reduces the portion size, people will prefer to go to another establishment, to another restaurant, and doesn't go more to that restaurant that reduced the portion. So I think this is easy to understand. I think this is easy. It seems easy to implement, but it's not easy. One thing it is what we are talking here. Another thing is doing it practically in the field. Because if you simply reduce these portions, people start to go to another establishment, and that establishment will lose clients, so we'll have problems. First, and so much important as the act of adequate these portions is to educate people, and that should begin from the beginning in the schools with these notions of educability, of nutrition, guidelines we have talked. So the notion of portions, we don't need to eat so much quantity of these food groups and the others. So we don't need to eat 300 grams of chicken in one meal. But we are expecting from the establishment, from the place we go to eat, to be served in a quantity of food that perhaps it could be adequate for four people, and we are serving only one. So this is easy to understand. I think it's clear for everyone. But to make this transposition to the practical, it is not easy. I assure you. I assure you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, as we see at institutional level in our mess, there is a lot of wastage of food that occurs in the mess where we eat in the hostel. Na? So instead of throwing that food or wasting that food simply, they can prevent the wastage by giving the surplus food to the food shelters or the NGOs,
Yes.
so that their wastage is also not occurring, and plus the needy and hunger, there is a lot of hunger nowadays. People even can't afford the
Yes.
food, so it is fulfilling the need of the those people also. So they should contact to the NGOs or the shelter homes, so that there is no wastage of the food, plus the hunger people are also satisfied by getting the food which they need.
Yes, totally agree. That idea, that kind of action, it is also, I mentioned that is happening. Some projects, some initiatives to that leftovers, to that surplus food that it is not consumed in one place. That we can think and make some use of that food to other people, other communities that have difficulties to access food. And I think that you are talking, it's similar to the program I mentioned that there is in my country, and of course in many other places. That is, we have already implemented a program to the food that is not used, that is not consumed, and even leftovers. At the end of the day, we will in sometimes sell it in a very reduced price, or even to give them to charity institutions, to people that have no house, have no home, have no possibilities to get access to food. That is very important. That is very important to think on it. Yes.
And that was the thing about the large scale food wastage. At
Yes.
our homes, in the small scale, we need to educate the people, like read label. They should understand what is the read labeling, so that they can people used to buy the food in bulk, and when they used to buy the food, that food in bulk, obviously that expires and that is
Yes.
not used. So they should know how to read the labels of the food, so that they can buy only that much of food, that they can consume that food,
Yes.
and not throw if it is expired. That is first in and first out. They should buy that much only food that they can consume within a limited period of time, so that there is no wastage of food at small scale at our homes. So
Yes.
education is necessary for read labeling also. First they will know about the nutritive value, and they will know about that they should see the label and then buy that, what is the expiry date, they are able to consume it within that period or not.
Yes, and buy only the needed quantities, not to buy excess of food
Excess.
that then will expire. But I don't know what is the point of food legislation here in India. But in Europe, in Portugal, in Europe, the legislation changed a little, or more than a little, regarding the food labeling on 2016, and much more information was mandatory to be present in the label of foods. But the problem is that the population has no literacy to understand that information. So the question is, if you give a text to a people with a lot of important things, important notes, but if you can't read, what is the interest of that? That's the point. We have to give education to people. We have to be close to the people and professionals to explain what is in the label. So the information, to introduce information in the label, it's the same if you have a lot of information or nothing, because people can't understand what is in the label, and this is another of the challenges, is to educate people regarding health literacy, food literacy, to understand and to interpret the information, the content that is in the label. And as you said, of course, that is also very important regarding food waste, not only regarding also the nutritional needs, and but people must know what and how to interpret the information that is in the label. So the legislation advanced, that is true. It is mandatory, at least in the European context, to inform much more the consumer than years ago, a couple of years ago. But there aren't specific programs or specific strategies to explain, to educate people what is important when I go to the supermarket. Because when I go to the market, to the supermarket, I will not spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes reading each label of food. One day it wouldn't be enough go to shopping, to the market. So and people will not read the information, especially when you have a lot of information with small letters. So it is not true that when you have more information, you have a consumer with more knowledge. This is not a direct relation. It is very important to find strategies and programs to educate people. That is another important point, and thank you very much for your comment, for your question.
Thank you, sir.
Because it's related to the previous question.
Yes.
The thing about this food being given to these shelter homes or agencies or needy people, like most institute, we also have an outsourced agency that makes the foods prepared by an outsourced agency. At the end of the day, what they do is they send all this food to a farm where it is fed to the pigs.
Send to?
Sent to a farm.
To a farm. Yeah.
Farm where it is fed to the pigs.
Perfect. It's another possibility of usage, of course.
So we are reusing it in one way. But now, when we ask them whether they can give it to shelter homes, he has to hire one extra staff. He has to pay salary to that extra staff who will collect the food, go to that particular home. So 3 times in a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So that person's work will be only collecting this food, transferring it till there. He has to waste petrol or diesel on that vehicle to transport. Then he needs those big utensils because it has to be served in a very decent way. He just cannot send it because it's our waste, but it is to be fed to someone else. So instead of wasting money on all this, he says, I would rather throw it into the dustbin. It was not working out.
It was not. Yes, because this is must be thinking. Of course, if I if I will spend money or more money, so this is not working. Of course, this must work for every people. If the idea, for example, in the programs that I talked that happens in Portugal, there is not the transport. The food remains on the establishment, and the people or the charity institutions go there. It's different, of course. If well, expenditures that at the end of the day I see I'm losing, I'm losing resources, I'm losing money. This must be very well thinking, of course, of course. Otherwise, we are not, how can I say, wasting the food, but we are wasting money, and of course we can't do that. That is not also sustainable. So that's an important point and an important experience. Thank you for sharing, because of course we must think on everything.
So one more question, very basic question. In the other paper that you mentioned about strategies, you mentioned that plates are better than trays. How do we understand that?
Plates are better than
Trays.
Pyramids.
Trace.
Trace.
Tray. Tray. Plate versus tray in terms of serving. The other paper that you had mentioned the strategies to prevent food waste.
The food waste, yes. Plates are better than
Trays.
trays. Yes, yes, I agree.
No, how do
And
we?
even one strategy and then plates or trays, it is to adequate the size of the plate to the portion because some restaurants they serve the meal in a very big plate, in a very huge plate. So one of the strategies we found is to serve the meal, the main meal, in a small, like a dish plate. I don't know if you are seeing a small plate because there you have the space, the more than a sufficient space to an adequate meal in the point of view of your needs and according to the diet guidelines, and you will not waste food because if you have a bigger plate, what is the tendency is to put there more food, more quantity of food, and most of times you will not eat all of that food. So it will remain on the plate. That is a strategy that we also use to avoid some kind of food waste, and also not only for food waste, but regarding the nutritional adequacy of that meal, because most of people eat more calories that they really need. So if you have a smaller a smaller plate, a smaller dish, so you will put there less food and the food you need. That is another strategy we also use in these programs of avoiding food waste. Yes. Oh, then.
Okay, so considering that the food waste starts from our home. As you said,
Yes.
we won't waste 10 to 15 minutes reading the label of a product in our mouth. That is for sure. So, what technological or educational tool we can use to educate the consumer so we can prevent this food waste activity of ours? And also, I want to know if there's anything special that Europe people do so we can learn from them as well. So please educate us about that.
So we can make a conference only about that, and I believe it would be very very interesting. There are a lot of
Interest.
things. There are a lot of things we can think and we can do. We can plan to decrease this food waste, and just starting from our homes and more than our homes, our behave when we go shopping, food from the market, from local stores to bring them to our homes and then to prepare to storage to prepare and to utilize that foods. So first is the quantity of food you will buy, and be attention if you are buying food to consume it fresh or to storage them in the fridge or everywhere. To adapt the quantity of food to the utilization you will give to it. That is very very important, and most of people maybe don't do that. That's the reason another colleague was saying that the expired date, you see that some of the foods are not in conditions to be eaten, so it will be discarded. So this is one of the most important things. No, not to buy more than the necessities, the needs you have. And of course, if you buy small amounts, when you finish the food you have, you go, it's perfect, you go again, you consume even more fresh foods, and you are not wasting food. I think this is one of the main points. Another one is, of course, when you prepare the foods, prepare only those you will eat, and then again the notion of portions, the number of people that will eat the food, and of course, even if you do all of that, perhaps we will have leftovers. We will have food that will not be eaten, and then we can see the environment. For example, if we live in a city that we can have the possibility to give that leftovers to people that have difficulties to access to food, perfect. Or if we have a farm and some of that food can be used to feed up some animals, it will depend. But the idea is not to discard food. Give always an utilization to the food. For example, when you are preparing some kind of food, you can reutilize some of it. For example, if you are boiling a fish, the water that you use to boil the fish, you should not throw to the trash or to the stink the water you boil the fish or the meat, whatever you want. You can reuse that water, for example, to make a sauce for a preparation for another dish or for a sauce. Give the utilization. If you will boil the vegetables, the same thing. You can make a soup with the water you use to boil that vegetable. So, because in that water, it's not only water. You have other soluble vitamins. You have nutrients. So you can give some utilization to that. So this is only some examples that you can teach people. Most of people perhaps don't know that and are wasting nutrients, are wasting foods, and this is a very important point. And of course, we could be talking here and give examples for the way, but this message should go to the population. This is very important. And for example, cultivate our own vegetables at our home, so that all of that actions, and for the children, it's very important to make them in contact with nature, to see the vegetables go. It's different to go to the supermarket and buy the ended product. If they see the evolution and how nature works, perhaps they will have a different behave with that food and regarding food waste also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I think awarding people about food waste through TV ads and campaigning can reduce the food waste. And also, if people make a weekly meal plan and then buy according to that plan, can also reduce the food waste.
Yes, that is what we are talking right now. If you plan the meal, even speaking at a home context or a food service context, where you will serve not one, two, three, four meals, but meals, for example, for 60 people, he should know exactly the quantity of food I will serve to them. So to plan the shop, the buyer, and to ask from the providers the adequate quantity, and then the preparation of the adequate quantity of that meals, it is more probable that you will not have food waste. And of course, that is very interesting for the companies, because a part of the question of the food waste is the money waste, and companies don't like to lose to lose money. If you are talking to the companies and if you talk to them, see, but part of the food waste, you are losing money. If you make a more adequate plan and adequate management of this, you will not only avoid food waste, but you will also avoid the waste of money. And that's for companies, for sure. It will be very much touchable than the question of the food waste. But I related the food waste and the economic loss. I think it's clear to understand that. And for companies, that is a very important point. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I think at the industrial or supply chain level, better forecasting can help in avoiding food wastage. Like on supply level, people can estimate, can use data analytics to estimate the demand more accurately, so that they can avoid uh, food wastage. And byproduct utilization scheme should be applied on industries where the food processing waste can convert into biogas, or they can use it to feed animals. So I think that can help in food wastage management, and it's a
Yes, that's
big
also a good strategy,
initiative.
and that also of the interest for the food industry and the companies, because it is not only an environmental question. It is not only sustainability from the point of view of the wastage of food. Eventually, that has a very important relation with money. The industries, the companies will earn money or will not discard the money to the trash. And if they see that, they feel that, for sure, they will change their actions, their behavior. So, of course, that is very, very relevant, because I'm not saying that the companies are not interested in the food wastage or energy resources or a better rule from the point of view of the environmental, but the economic point of view is very relevant for the companies, because with not affordable economics, so they will not survive, they will close. So for them, of course, the money is very important. If they have significant profit, if they see they will spend more money on that, of course they will change. They will do everything to do that. When we think on companies, on industries, that is a very relevant point, and it is connected. You can separate one thing from the other. The food waste from the economic point of view.
Yes, I guess. Yes, I guess. Like, can you repeat what you asked?
The macro.
Sorry, can you repeat the last line? Can you repeat, please?
Sorry,
Can you repeat, please?
if I can repeat the.
Sir, what you have asked, can you repeat that, please?
My question. I didn't make a question. I was affirming that the food industries are very, very concerned about the economic point of view, because the strategies you mentioned, that usage, of course, as the as the relevance. And when we think on food industry, everything they made and all changes they made on their supply chain, on their actions day to day, they will have an impact not only on the environment, not only on the food that is discarded or not, the energy they can also change the kind of energy source. For the environment, of course, it is better, opting for one or another, but they will see that it will have an impact in the economy. It will have an impact in their finances. So, and what I was saying is, from all aspects, and even at our homes, this has a relation. When we discard food, we discard money. We bought that food, or we spend time in cultivating that food. So if we will not give the proper utilization to the food is discarded, the money is discarded. This is a small scale in our homes, but a larger scale in the industries is also the same, or even worse, because larger quantities, larger amounts, of course, larger quantities of money are discarded. And of course, companies, industries don't want that.
So, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, in many countries like France, South Korea, Japan, there are very strict rules on food wastage and even penalties. Not in India yet, but do you think we can implement it? And does it exist in Portugal?
Yes, a lot of things can be done, but of course, some of those must be adapted to different realities. And what is the where from we depart? What is the point of situation of our region, of our country? What is being done at this moment? And it depends on the particularities of the region, of the education of the people. I think that is very, very important before taking some action or make some change to educate, to give the proper formation to the people. This linkage between the citizens, the community, since every year in the school, this is fundamental because if we educate children, children will educate the parents and so on. And if at home children see parents discard food, they will point the finger to the father and say, "Why? What are you doing that?" And the mother will think about, perhaps I'm doing something not so good. The education, I think, or I'm sure that is much more important than the most of people think. Before take some action from the point of view of legislation, of the government, of initiative in the industries, whatever, educate all the community is very, very, very relevant. But of course, then the context, for example, France, Japan, India, Portugal are very different contexts, and perhaps some things can go very good in one context, but in other not so good. In a rural population, it is very different from an urban population. So if you have farms, if you have animals, so you can think in other ways to make another utilization of your leftovers, of your discards. But some people that lives in the center of a city, and there are no farms, no animals in the neighborhoods. So perhaps you have to think in another ways of food utilization. That is very important. Your
Thank you, sir.
question very pertinent. Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, we can promote apps video or conduct a workshop to showing how to turn left.
Sorry, can you speak to the micro because
Okay, sir.
thank you, thank you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, now yes, perfect.
Okay, sir. We can promote apps, videos, or conduct workshop showing how to turn leftover food into new meal instead of discarding it.
How can we transform a leftover in a new meal? Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Who wants to answer? How can we make a leftover a meal that in theory it would be discarded? How can we make it a new meal for another person? Some ideas. Who wants to give some ideas? Let's hear the colleague on the top. Be creative.
Hello. In India, at household level, we minimize the leftover food. Say, for example, we cook rice, and if rice is leftover, then we ferment it, and we consume it on next day.
Next day.
By doing that, not only its nutrition value increases, but also we minimize the leftover food.
Yes, of course, that question is important, but will depend a lot of the food, of kind of meal we are talking about. There are meals, there are foods that, for the reasons of their preparation, of their properties, the shelf life is not so long as others. Yes. Of course, that is the idea. But some leftovers ourselves cannot discard and use in the next meal. I don't know how is in your homes, but some people, for example, in Portugal, don't like to eat the same at lunch, at dinner, and the other day. And what occurs when people make a preparation of a quantity of food more than they needed. So I eat, for example, rice with chicken at lunch. But I cooked more than I and my family will eat. So we have the same for the dinner. That is a leftover from the lunch. Okay, dinner. But even there are more chicken rice because at dinner we didn't eat everything. Tomorrow, lunch, the same. And people, oh, I don't want more this. So discard, don't care. I discard this rice and this chicken. I will do another thing. So the question of to adequate the portions is very important. But of course, the other possibility is to give that food to other person for a neighborhood. For example, if you have a farm and animals that can use that food to feed up the animals with some other preparations, that would be an example. But we can start easily with us to adequate the portions and see the quantity of food we will prepare. It will be the sufficient, and we will eat everything in one meal or two meals, but the food it will not be discarded because that is one more thing. One more example that the food education is very very important, very very important.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
for your question.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My point has already been covered in all these queries, but
Sorry.
I would like to suggest that we also see every day in our hostels there is a lot of food wastage in our mess, and
I'm
we
sorry, but the micro, I think it's not in the right position. I understood you are talking about your hostels. Don't be shy, don't be shy.
we see.
Now I think a technical problem, no?
Hello,
Now it's working. Okay.
am I audible now? Like as we see, there is a lot of food wastage in our hostels also. So we can plan we can implant some kind of strategies the, like use the food waste.
I didn't understand what you said last, but I think I catch the idea of your question. You are saying that in the hostels, here you see a lot of food being wasted, right? And you'd like to think on a project and a kind of program to implement on there to avoid this. Is that right? That your question was about it? Yes? I think that is perfect, and I think also in collaboration with your mentors, with your professors, you could think on a program to be implemented on the canteens of your hostels to avoid it. I think that is very, very, very interesting. And regarding the planning of the menus, the number of meals that are serving day by day, the portions that are serving, I think, and then the usage of the leftovers, all of that can be think together with of course with the professors, also with the responsible of providing the foods to the hostels, and of course the managers of the hostels. I think that would be great, and at the end, if the program would be correctly implemented, it would be very useful from the point of view, of course, of food that will not be wasted, but also from the point of view of economical losses. Because once again, if you see everyday food being wasted, you see or you should see a lot of money also being wasted. So perhaps the hostels could buy much less food that they are buying, and people being equal satisfied or even more. So I think it's a great idea. And of course, another important thing that I think I spoke in the beginning is this, because one thing is you saying that food is being wasted, but perhaps if we speak with other people, or for example, the responsible of the canteen, he will say no. So first is to quantify this waste, and we can use these methods to see in a more exact way how is or what is being wasted. But that is a very a very great initiative, and I support it a lot, of course.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My question is that what are the ethical and safety concerns in donating leftover food in your country?
I didn't understand. Sorry.
What are the ethical and safety concerns in donating leftover food in your country?
Regarding the ethical and yes, that is an important point you touched, the safety regarding the use of leftovers. Is that your question, right? We must assure that meals that will be given to, for example, the charity institutions that will give to other person, or even that we will use in the tomorrow meal, that must be safe. The safety conditions must be the same as the meal that is served at first time. That is important to be clear. No doubt must be posed regarding that. Another thing is quality, and of course, the taste, the flavors, some texture properties can change, and with one foods, one meals that will be more notorious, and with others no. There are even some kind of foods that the flavor will be more intense if you cook today, and you will eat only in the next day. But that is another question. It is a question of quality, of sensory, organoleptic properties. That is not the point. But from the point of view of safety, of contamination, the food left over must be innocuous. Yes, that is no doubt about it. Otherwise, we can't give to people to eat the food if it is not in proper conditions, hygienic conditions, safety conditions. We cannot use it. That is clear.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much for that question. Very interesting point.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My question is, it is possible to regenerate or recover protein from food waste or other protein sources by biological and physical process?
I didn't understand. Sorry, if you were talking too down and I didn't understand. It is possible to add protein.
Uh, Regenerate or recover protein from food waste.
Did you understand? I didn't understand. Recover something from the that will depend the cost. If the cost effective, of course, we have to think about that. It will depend. In some cases, perhaps, but not always.
By the biological or physical process?
It will depends. I don't have a specific answer for that, of course, because most of the times I believe that is not cost effective. You have other ways to use that leftover and not to kind of apply some technology or some process to recover the protein. Perhaps that is not the most cost effective action you can do with leftover. You see? It is not the question you can't do it, but you must think from the point of view of cost effective or the most appropriate use for that leftover. If you can use that leftover, for example, to feed up other people, it is less expensive and it is also so more valuable, even that to recover the protein from a specific method. But it's possible in a way, yes, of course, if it's possible.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm from South India. In our side, we don't waste the food. Actually, we converted food into a compost, organic compost. In that way, we use the food waste and we place the food waste in outside of the villages and placed into a open air to grow a good microorganisms, and it helps to converted into humus, which is rich in nutrients. It helps to grow the plants. And also one more thing, when I saw I'm a kid in our village, the Rural Development Trust (RDT), which is organized by the respected Sir Vincent Ferrer he's from Spain, and he developed a gobar gas, which is also called as biogas.
Biogas, yes, to
Yes,
use.
sir, biogas, which is helps to not reduce the food waste is also helpful for the producing the gobar gas. It is a very anaerobic process.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
in that there is three steps: hydrolyzation and acid formation and methane formation. In that way, the various my bacteria also use it in hydrolyzation. There are bacilli and acid formation,
Yes.
lactobacillus species, and methane formation, methane coques. And like that, I want to reintroduce the gobar gas production from the villages, which is very useful for the
Yes.
management of food.
Yes, that is another way and another interesting way to reuse the
Yeah,
food that.
actually, I saw it is in my past, sir. There is no production of gobar gas like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I want to reintroduce that, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much for your comment and for your initiative. That is, of course, another possibility, and of course, it depends the environment, the context, and the conditions. But very interesting, very interesting. Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for wonderfully clearing all the doubts of the students. I have one simple doubt. From a research point of view, what are some emerging areas or methods in food-based analysis that young researchers like us should explore?
When we make research on food waste, the first thing is to see the methods we will use to quantify the food waste, because we have to be exact and see how much food is being wasted. For example, in a canteen, I can see that at the end of the meal, a lot of trays, lot of plates as food and go to be discarded. But by the way, in this slideshow, we see some of the methods we can use to quantify how food is being wasted. And at the end, for example, of a lunch, we can direct weight the food that is at the end of the meal, and we know the weight of that meal before being served. We weigh before and then the end, and by difference we see the difference in grams the food is wasted, and we can at the end see the total of grams, not grams, kilograms of the old people was wasted, and then see what is the problem here. So what can we do to avoid this? The portions are not adequate. The quality from the point of view of ergonometric sensory quality is not good, because sometimes this is not related to the quantity of food that is serving is too much. Because if the food is not good from the point of view of sensory properties, people will not eat, and perhaps food is discarded, people will not lunch or lunch very little and go to buy food to other place. So, and this is not a problem of the portion that is served in too much quantity. This is a problem of the food has no quality from the point of view. So we must see the reason. We must see what is in the basis of this food waste. This is because only if we catch this, then we can make some action to make some change. But quantify is the first step, and find the most affordable method to quantify this food that is being wasted, that is being discarded. And then, of course, see the environment, see the characteristics of the establishment, see the characteristics of the population. What will be the best way to make changes on the behavior, on the actions of day-to-day life of those people, to make it is a problem they don't have education. It is a problem that, for example, they don't have the time for lunch. I don't know here, but in some place, universities, some classes are one next the others, and people have 20 minutes to have lunch. So not so much time to make his meal, and a lot of people's waiting to be served for meal. So 10 minutes to have lunch, is this enough? So you have to see the reasons of that discard. We cannot associate always the not adequate portion. There may be other things behind the scenes, I say, that are related with this waste. And then, of course, try what is the best initiative, the best program, the best measure to apply to this context. But this is a good starting point. Quantify, know the characteristics of the environment, the establishment, the population, the community, the consumers, and then see what is wrong and what can be done and how can we implement that measures. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So I just want to add on to his, like, as he said that the food which wasted can be converted into biogas or bioethanol. It's correct, but the is it erasing food scarcity or food wastage? Because how much ever the food is being decomposed or utilized as a biogas, we are not getting that much product. Like if it is 10 kgs of food wasted, only 1 liter or even 500 ml ethanol or like bioethanol or biogas we are getting. So I don't think, like, yes, at the end we can utilize it as an energy source, but not at the first glance, because it's like the value which he's been throwing out, the food value, rather than getting back, is like a very huge difference. What do you say about?
Yes, but it will depend on the context. It is the same. If you have no way to give that waste or leftover for the people, of course, if you ask me what is preferable, to use it for biogas, for produce ethanol, another source of energy that you need much more quantity of food, or to give that food to a people that has no food to be satisfied or to be healthy. Of course, if you can choose, I will say, preferably you give the food to that people,
Or else
but
it will
it
be
will
the
depend
change
on the
of
context.
mentality of the people, like, okay, if it is wasted also no problem, we can use it as a biofertilizer, bio that, like that.
Yeah.
Their mentality might change. Okay, even if the food is waste, what will happen? We'll
No, but
utilize
that is
for
not.
that.
Yes, but that is not the idea. That is not the idea. I understand your point of view, but of course, if you ask me, and if my opinion, of course, if you have the possibility, you have to give that leftover to the people.
Thank you.
Yes, but I think your colleague will speak. If I understood well, he was not only using that waste to produce biogas. That correct? You are also using that the leftover also to feed up the people, right? Yes. Done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful presentation on food waste and its far-reaching impact on sustainability, economy, and society. The fact that you shared truly reminds us how simple steps like better menu planning, portion control, and mindful consumption can make a real difference. I'm sure this session has given so much to reflect on. With that, we'll now take a short tea break to refresh ourselves before the next session. Please be back on time so we can continue our discussions again. Thank you.